we go. All right, we are live now. Uh, First of all, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me introduce Mr. Infamous Rifle to all of you. He is one of those prestigious and precious gems which we need to protect as far as internet journalism is concerned, investigative journalism is concerned, and somewhat he is part of hashtag R circles. So that is why we welcome you, Mr. Infamous Rifle, sir. The floor is all yours.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to be here. It's been a while since I've done anything like this or done any interviews, but I'm really happy to be here. And I also have to thank Mr. Contriver here because he reconnected me with someone else from the community because I've been on a break. I announced that I was gonna take a semi-retirement from the red pill space, and I'm still kind of on that. So don't expect a whole lot of content on my channel if you follow me. But I figured I really wanted to do this because me and Contriver have been talking behind the scenes, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that he wants to talk about, and I'm all on board with it. So, do you want to hear my background first, or did you have any specific topics you wanted to start with?
Well, your background first, sir.
Okay, so I try to, tell this story often, and I feel like, short Batman origin story helps the listener kind of connect with you. So, years and years ago, basically, I had a woman, and she decided that she wanted to make a second Facebook account and start fucking around. And I eventually caught her. And back then I wasn't red pill, as you guys all understand, and so that hit me very, very hard. And it there was a time where I went through depression, and you guys understand. I was able to go to work, but like I didn't really want to do anything. I was unmotivated, and it emotionally hurt. And one day I just got on Google, man, and I was just like type in questions. You know how you do, and the you know red pill stuff came up. And also at the same time, around that same time, it was crazy, but my friend who I served with in the military was like, hey, get this book, and that happened to be The Rational Male. So I started looking for answers, and eventually I found my way here. And I didn't know where, because let me be clear with you guys. I am not a MGTOW person. I currently live the lifestyle for the time being, but I've never considered myself to be a MGTOW. Now, don't get upset about that. I'll explain my views of MGTOW in a moment, but um, I wanted to talk to other red pill people, but I didn't know where they were. Right? I guess I didn't even consider Twitter or anything like that, and I came across TFM stuff. So TFM at this point had done what was he done? She'll Never Love You or something like that. And I saw that he had advertised a Discord server, and I was like, oh, I have a Discord. So I got into the Monkey Business server, which became, until it was yeeted, the largest MGTOW Discord server out there. And I was just hanging out. Back then, things were a little bit different. So the server was actually relatively new, and it was mostly older fellows who were going through similar stuff than I, although most of them sounded like they went through a lot worse. They were talking about, how they couldn't see their children and stuff like that. So everybody was kind of like sharing their story and trying to support each other, and it was a good time. And I just kind of stayed because I could relate to these guys. And I memed my way into being a moderator for the Monkey Business server, basically, because people would say dumb shit and I'd meme them. So that's how that happened. And
Okay.
that was a good time. And feeding a cat, I know some people don't like him, some people do. You
I
know,
love him.
I thought he was funny. Other
Yes.
people hated him, or he was, behind the scenes, he was a cool dude to talk to. And
Yes.
he makes an appearance every once in a great while on my channel just to let me know he's still around. And yeah,
Ah.
but he really liked the way I handled people, because rather than getting upset, I would just meme somebody. I'm a smart ass. What can I say? So that was my introduction to the MGTOW space, and I was listening to TFM and the different people in the Discord, and hearing their opinions and things like that. And I was like, you know what? I like these guys. I'm not, I would love to have a family myself. That's what I want for myself. But I like the MGTOW philosophy. I think I see it as a life choice. So, and it's can be for you a wise life choice, actually. It just depends on what you want to do with your life. If you would rather stay safe, then, you know, stay at MGTOW. Absolutely. I support it. It's just not for me. Um,
Okay.
and I'm not a simp because I talk to women or whatever.
No, no, no.
That's what some hardcore, and we're going to get into that too.
Surely.
So you told me, we'll get into the exposure stuff in a minute. I want to talk about the red pill rage thing, because that's a big thing. You you were telling me you were in the red pill rage for 7 years. Can you go into that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, surely. Uh, the thing is, fault is nobody's but myself because of my own conditioning. I mean, when you are born in some hardcore conservative part of the world, and people around you tell you, son, you need to be virgin for your wife, and this, that, and the other. Actually, you take it at face value, and then come to realize that it was all farcical. It was nothing but a farce, and that is what happened with me, and I think I fell for it. So that was my story regarding that.
Oh, you
And
well, let's get into that just a little bit more. So you had an arranged marriage. I don't, and it, if you don't want to talk about it or give any details, by all means, just say let's move on to something else. But um, what happened? If you feel like talking about it,
uh, okay, I mean, you are my
you could
guest. Your
you
wish
could
is
keep
my
it simple,
command.
like she cheated on me, or
No, no,
something like that.
she never cheated on me. She disrespected my elderly parents, and
Mm.
that too in their own house.
Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I understand why you kicked that bitch to the curb. Yeah,
And
that don't fly.
even though after taking all the flack from my own family, who slapped me outside the courtroom because they told me to apologize to her and bring back the bride, as they call it, bring back their daughter-in-law. I did not do it.
So they're so entrenched in blue pill that
Yes,
she disrespected them, and you were like, hell no. And then they
yes,
got mad at you because you wouldn't. Wow, dude. Like, now I know we were talking behind the scenes, and I informed you my parents are boomers, but they're bad. They're kind of steeped in the blue pill, trad con philosophy. But my parents wouldn't even do that, man. I feel for you. That's hardcore right there.
well, that's it. Because of this false bravado that she is our daughter-in-law. you know that sort of a thing is still with, I mean, with the older generation, I would say. I would submit, with the older generation specifically.
Yes, I can relate. Like I said, now I
And they are 70 plus, so
yeah,
I, I
we're
guess we could give them that much. uh, we could cut them some slack regarding that. uh, my parents, actually, I'm the only son surviving of my parents. My parents actually had three sons. Two died because of some fever or something, infant mortality rate because of malnutrition. There are many n number of factors. So it is incumbent upon me to take care of my parents in the evening of their life. And since I live under their roof, it was all about their house, their rules, as well as I've, because of the Indian culture and everything, the boys have to do the heavy lifting for an
mhm,
ungrateful society, and that too a man hating society. If you are a man, you are considered as a potential rapist. That is why New Delhi is proclaimed by the Western audience as a rape capital, as they propagate it
shit.
in the Western media. That is for sure. But that is the thing that that many people don't realize, that more than 35%, 35 to 40% of men remain virgin. I mean, I can say with confidence that 50% of men remain virgin till their marriage in India. And I was one of them, lost my virginity with my wife and all that. But the relationship got destroyed, and it is such a mental scar on me that I don't feel comfortable talking about it
Hmm.
very
Okay.
often.
Yes. Okay. I
Yes.
understand. I don't want to pry and get you to talk about something you're uncomfortable with, because that's why I don't go into too many details about my story either. I keep it simple, because I'm over it, but there's always the little needle prick down underneath. You
Yes.
never fully get rid of it, but you can pretty much get to where you don't notice it or ignore it permanently. And so you had a long period of red pill rage. 7 years
Yes.
is
Yes.
extreme. Like, you are an extreme case. Like, my philosophy, the way I see it, is maximum of 2 years. If you're not out of the red pill rage within 2 years, you're not really following the program, if you will. Because the red pill is not supposed to make you angry or hate women. It's supposed to help you understand them so that you don't hate women. And clearly you don't, because what you told me behind the scenes, you don't hate women. You just, you're doing the lifestyle that you think is best for you, and I think that's great. Uh, but yeah, I definitely have not gone through something as bad as what you went through, for sure, sir. I was done a disservice by my boomer parents in a way, and um, but it's also on me. I have to take responsibility for my own choices. Uh, at the same time, I just had my grandparents on both sides had really great relationships, and my parents were boomers, and I was looking at how those relationships worked out, and I was like, oh, this must be how it's supposed to be, right? So then when I tried to do that in the modern age, I got fucked, and the rest is history. The rest brought me here. But I was only I was depressed, and then I was angry, but I wasn't angry for very long. I was like, okay, I get it, because it's not just them. You can't be all right. So
Always mad at them.
uh, you can't be mad at a dog because it barks. You shouldn't be.
Yes.
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't be. That was my point, right? That's because that's what they do. They're a fucking dog, right? And I'm not calling women dogs before someone clips that and says I'm comparing women to dogs.
Because
There's always
dogs are
there's
loyal.
always somebody, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm simply saying is you can't
Well, we
fault
cannot.
a
We
creature for
can.
following its nature.
Well, we cannot call women dogs because dogs are loyal more than
Mm.
anything else.
But yeah, I mean, I just want to because there's always somebody who wants to take things out of context and get angry. So I want to make that clear before cut that off at the pass before it happens. But yeah, once you understand them, you can't
You
be
cannot
like
love them.
it can be annoying. Some of the stuff that they do can certainly be annoying, but they're just following their nature, man. And they are
Yes.
also individuals too, because there are some that are far less annoying, and you can vibe with and get along with very well. And you know, is what it is.
Uh, any other thing you want to ask me, or
Oh
um,
yeah. How are you saying? We covered like guys. We talked for like 10 minutes behind the scenes, and we were already getting into just some interesting topics. All right, so I just don't want to talk about something that's uncomfortable for you. So,
oh no, surely.
um, can you talk a little bit more about the climate in India, for example? I know you said that a lot of guys are considered rapists and stuff like that. How about like aren't is this true? Or is a lot of guys or are rather a lot of guys um, not getting laid? Like, or a lot of guys would maybe virgin incels.
Well, I would say I remained virgin till my marriage.
Well,
I,
but
I
was that a choice or was that because you were struggling?
not struggling in the sense, but the thing is, the conditioning of the boys is as such. You have to be a brown knight for women.
Brown night. That's interesting.
Yes, brown knight for women. And you have to abide by their rules, just like that chap who always tries to appropriate stoicism. Who is that clinical psychologist? Dr. Jordan Peterson. He always says, clean your room. In a sense, what he is saying is, clean your room, do the heavy lifting for the greater good of the society, and sacrifice yourself. This is his
That's
idea.
boomers booming right there. That sounds like my parents. It's the boomer. What do they call it? Savior schema, where you're
Yes.
supposed to be this blue pill, white, brown, whatever color, knight, hero to save the day and sacrifice yourself and expect and receive nothing in return. Um, and I lived that, man. I lived that for a long time until I realized the truth. And the truth, as we all know it, is you're just a sacrificial pawn. You are uh,
Yes.
disposable.
Cannon fodder.
And I realized that from uh, serving in the U.S. military for four and a half
Oh, you
years.
served?
Yes, I went to Iraq twice actually, and my four
Oh,
and a half years
wow.
in the military, I went to Iraq twice.
Oh,
First in
wow. Thank you for your
2003.
service, sir.
Oh,
I didn't know. And
thank you for your
this
support.
is a huge contribution you did. I mean, I understand my fellow friends who have served, and I respect any person from any military across the world because they don a uniform to sacrifice their lives. So I don't disrespect them. I see them, I hold them in high regards, and I I look up to them with utmost respect. So
Well,
thanks a lot.
I definitely appreciate that, man. Um, it's I don't miss it except for the camaraderie with the dudes. Um,
Yes.
but it was a tough, very tough experience, but it was a good experience. I think it did build character. But the thing was, like, I uh, I realized after the first deployment, because when you're young, I was 19 when I went over there the first time. I had to turn 20, and then Ended up turning 21 shortly after it was all over. But I started looking things up and realized we have no fucking business being here. And on my second deployment, so we only came home for 9 months. I think it was 8 or 9 months. We didn't even get to come home and stay for a year before the battalion commander was like, "Hey, put you guys on another mission." And the first deployment, none of our guys from my unit died. Now the second one, they did. There was guys who died in the second deployment, and that's what really, really infuriated me because we didn't even get a year to rest, and then we're back out there. And if things might have, how you look back, and if this one thing might have not happened, then the whole house of cards might not have fallen that way. But I started realizing that this motherfucker here, he just wanted to get his full bird rank. He was a battalion commander, so he's a light colonel.
Yes.
And so he's like volunteering our unit to do all this shit just because he wants a promotion for himself. So people died, and that was another thing that flew all over me. And I don't hate the military. I still, I'm proud of my service and everything, but
Yes.
but it makes you think,
Yes.
we were just
Yes.
sacrificial pawns. And
Yes.
on a larger scale, that's what society thinks of all of us men. We're just here to provide and run society and provide these services. So, the elite and, other people can live well while we all crawl around in the dirt. I mean, that's a very negative way of looking at it. But I mean, I don't let it get to me. I focus on me. And I think you guys should too. As men, it's easy to look at the negativity that you are disposable and that you're supposed to do this and that. But if you focus on improving yourself and living a good life for yourself, and I think MGTOW, you guys that are MGTOW, that is it cuts a big piece of the equation out because you're not spending the time and energy looking for a mate, right? You can focus more on other things in life. So that's another reason why I think MGTOW is a great choice for dudes, if that's what they want to do. Like I said, I have my own reasons for wanting a family, and that's personal. That's on me. But I know a lot of guys that have my ideas, they tend to hate on MGTOW, or they think that you guys are losers, blah, blah, blah. And why wouldn't you want to have all these things? I don't. I don't think you guys are losers at all. I think that there are a lot of guys, and this is part of your story, because we're gonna. I actually do have a question about that. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm trying to gather
No,
my
it's
thoughts.
fine. It's fine.
Get
It
caffeinated.
is all in good faith.
But you, when we first started talking, I'm just going to shift gears and get into that because that's more interesting than me rambling. So when we started talking, you were talking about you used to be a part of the House of MGTOW, and you were heavy into the
I was in the mosh pit as well.
Okay, I know you told me you were in TFM server, and I remember you by the name you told me.
Yes.
But you were particularly talking about your anger and that you had done things that you weren't proud of, or been involved in things that you weren't proud of. Now, I'm not sure if you've told your audience or not, or whether you're willing to. But
please. Let us open the dirty linen in public.
Okay. Well, I was just curious about that because I don't know what all you did other than you were somehow involved in going after Chris Cantu. Is that correct?
I was not at all involved in going after Chris Cantu. I used to do some of the streams with Angry MGTOW.
Ah, okay. That's what you meant. Okay. Right.
Okay.
I understand now.
So angry MGTOW when the RPC red pill coin came up. So at that point, he was the one who shared that very thing, and he actually promoted it everywhere with his own time, energy, and resources, whatever was available, to him at that point. He did everything, and the way he was stabbed in the back, and still, because I could not wrap my head around the fact as to what is happening to this man. He is a legend among us, and he is being sliced and diced by our own people, and that too mainly because of that fat Bob over there,
Hmm.
as well as the second reason I am saying that I know for a fact as to who Angry MGTOW was. I have seen him,
Ah, I see.
I have talked to him, and I know for a fact his brother is a former US defense contractor,
Hmm.
Blackwater guy.
Gotcha.
So he comes from that background.
Yeah,
He never
and
served, Angry never served, but his brother did, his biological brother.
gotcha.
So I know about things about Angry which other people don't. But the fact that when our own MGTOW friend, he was a doctor, I think a surgeon or a physician.
Hmm.
He settled in Philippines or Indonesia back in
Hmm.
2017 or 2018, and then at that day he emailed me, and of course on a different email he emailed me and said that you are still with that psycho over there. And I asked him, what did I do? What have I done? So
Hmm.
he said that you don't know what you have done. And then he unraveled everything for me to see. And what happened was, I was quite astounded by the fact that this happened, and all of these people conspired, contrived a conspiracy, and backstabbed one of their own. Real men don't do that.
That
At
is,
that time, I was there with Mr. Howard there, 8 hour Christmas dreams and all that. Ralph was there as well. I hope you remember him. Ralph.
the name sounds familiar, but
Yeah. So
can't place
he
it.
was another MGTOW. He retired from US Navy. He
Hmm.
bought a yacht, and when his superior from the US Navy also retired, he gave him a job on his own yacht,
Damn.
like taking care of it and everything. And his superior was very much happy that at least after getting out of the Navy, he is getting a job. And he opened a bar over there. He wanted to have an eye candy so that more and more men would be coming over there and watching sports and
Yeah.
drinking beer and all that stuff.
Well, I'm glad that he's doing good. I recall actually struggling when I went back into the civilian world myself for a time, for sure. It's definitely, for those who've never done it, it's a very hard transition. And
Yes.
I don't want to get too much into that, but I really liked the topic of, because it's a good topic, the topic of men in this space stabbing each other in the back and fighting over dumb shit all the time. And we talked about that in Discord the other day, but it is a major problem. And the way I see it is, you got um, sometimes it's like being a politician, I think, for these people, right? So they might come into it with good intentions, some of them, and then their ego gets the best of them. Meanwhile, my favorite punching bag, that was never the case. When we'll get into Blob Lewis in a few, because I do want to talk about that whole conspiracy. There's a little bit to unravel. Um, but
So I am doing this. The reason, if I could interject with your
sure,
permission, sir. Uh,
sure.
okay, I am doing this as a penance towards the fact that I was reticent about what happened to our beloved Chris Cantu, and that is why I want to dedicate. My favorite was not Chris Cantu, but he was the greatest mentor, MGTOW mentor ever. According to me, my favorite MGTOW content creator was none other than Spetsnaz.
Yes, I was a big listener to him when I was in my red pill rage phase, or like calming down from it, because
Yes,
I would listen to his videos like over and over. I would back then when I was in that phase, because it helped me understand and it helped me rein myself
decipher.
in. Yes.
Exactly.
Um, so I'm a big fan of Spetsnaz. It's a shame he's pretty much gone, but I agree with you. He's one of the greats. Um,
And
but since you want to bring up that whole thing, let's just, I was going to wait till later, but let's dive into the red pill coin thing. Um, since that is one of the primary topics you wanted to talk about, we'll just go dive right in there. So, as you guys know, as I explained already, I was a mod in the Monkey Business server, and so one day there we're doing the TFM show, and this guy comes on, and the guy starts going on about how uh, he had been married and divorced twice, and he beat the system, and he was all these things, and that is to include a paralegal, and he was a self-proclaimed legal expert. Well, if you that show is actually still up on YouTube right now. I don't want to give that dork any views, but that entire interview is still up on the internet. And if you go back and you listen to it again with a clearer mind,
could
you
you
can get,
repeat that? Could you repeat that? Which
sure.
video?
It is it's on Blob Lewis's channel, and it's his first appearance on the TFM show. You can Google it right now if you want. I can give you guys the link. Uh, but if you go back and you listen to it on your own time, I can't stand the sound of that dork's voice, but you can pick out the inconsistencies. Now, at the time, everybody was blinded by their anger and everything like that, so they didn't really notice the inconsistencies. But you can listen if you listen to like what TFM says. He asks questions. He's like, "Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense." But somehow Blob Lewis was able to convince him, that he wasn't bullshitting. But like I said, if you're really curious, go back and listen to it. So everyone was so impressed with that show, or most everyone, that DDJ Misandry today, that's who we're talking about. I just call him Blob Lewis, but his name is Bob Lewis. Um, he became the co-host of the TFM show. Um, Now, what a lot of people didn't know was that he was actually committing unauthorized, what's known as unauthorized practice of law here in the U.S. And I speak on that because I myself have a degree in paralegal studies and worked as a paralegal. I don't do that anymore, but I've moved on to something else. But I can definitely speak to that experience. And as someone who worked as a paralegal, you cannot give legal advice. Um, and that's something he would do almost every show, because there would be someone, a caller in, that would ask for his advice, and he'd give him bullshit advice. And like, in the US, you cannot give legal advice unless you are an attorney, and that means that you have gotten a law degree and passed the bar and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, so there's that. Anyhow, he stayed on the TFM show for, as you guys know, a couple of years, and there always just seemed to be some kind of controversy. So the very first major controversy at this time was the red pill coin conspiracy, right? Yeah, you might have channel 1800 dumb. Sorry to break what I'm saying, but yes, you might have heard of this on my own channel, or I've done other interviews. Okay, but sorry, I get distracted easily sometimes. But the red pill coin conspiracy. So basically, everyone knows that Marcus from the Metaphysics of MGTOW came out with this video talking about how the Angry Big Tow's red pill coin thing was a scam, right? Now, back then, I saw cryptocurrency at that time personally as a pyramid scheme. Now, I currently own cryptocurrency, some of the major ones, but back then, just looking at it, analyzing it, it was like, this sounds like a pyramid scheme. Now, I never was really active in going after anyone, with one exception. And I've already talked to Chris Cantu about this, but I was the one who made some of those thumbnails and memes about Chris Cantu with the crying face. And I did apologize, and I still apologize for doing that. And we'll get into that. So basically, after Marcus made that video, all of a sudden, DDJ, Misandry Today, decided he was going to jump on board with that shit. And he started like really going after Angry MGTOW, but particularly for some reason he was targeting Chris Cantu. And if I'm not mistaken, at that time Chris Cantu had just simply agreed to sort of be the face for the red pill coin. He wasn't really involved other than just like, hey, guys, there's this thing called the red pill coin. So he was just kind of like the
Yes, he was
promoter,
just
right?
publicizing it.
Right. But for some reason, Blob decided that he was going to make Cantu the target of most of his attacks. And I think that wasn't right. If I recall correctly, I think Chris Cantu even was like, hey, look, dude, I don't really have anything to do with the inner workings of the red pill coin. Why are you coming after me? And yet Blob still persisted in coming after him. So that big conspiracy, that kind of got everybody fighting in the MGTOW space, man. It was pretty wild. And I want to squash a couple of rumors. Like, some people believe that TFM was involved, and TFM had no involvement in this thing. He has his opinions about cryptocurrency, and that is what it is, but he wasn't involved in really like going after the red pill coin or Chris Cantu. I know he had his own small beef with Angry MGTOW. I don't know if you guys remember why that is or not, but
Yes, I remember correctly. I was there.
Mhm.
And Angry started shouting at him, and I was like, man, chill out. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, he is your guest, and he has agreed to come on your stage. So at least let him have his say. And he started spurging on him, and then TFM started spurging on him. So it was just a facade that happened. But coming back to the topic, Misandry Today, Bob Lewis was a paralegal
Mhm.
who was not supposed to have a license to practice paralegal.
He doesn't. Yes, you're correct. He doesn't even have a degree in paralegal studies. He's just some guy. I did some research. I can prove that he did work as a paralegal, but I'll tell you guys a little secret about being a paralegal. All right. If you're in America, you can have zero experience, no degree, nothing. And if you have a friend that's an attorney, he can say, hey, you want to be my paralegal? And you can do it. Will you do a good job? Probably not. But that's how that can work. If he decides to hire you, that's how it can happen. Now, a smart attorney is going to say, okay, this guy's got, a degree in this. He's got some experience under his belt. And so that's the person we're going to go with. But I'm just saying that's a possibility. And again, I can prove that Blob worked as a paralegal, and he's been the same arrogant piece of shit from that we all know and hate today, or dislike. I don't hate anybody. I dislike people, but I don't hate them. But yeah, so he started the red pill coin, and eventually everybody got over that. But I will point out one interesting thing about the red pill coin is that later on down the road, Blob Lewis decided he was going to team up with Angry MGTOW, and he did a video saying, "Oh well, I know that Angry MGTOW had problems with the red pill coin, but now he's fixed it, and now I want to be in on it."
Yes, didn't he made that video and then deleted it?
I wonder. I don't know. I haven't checked the guy's channel. Like I said, excuse me, I need a drink of water. Damn. But yeah, I don't know if that video is still up or not, but I remember that happening. And I thought it was really funny because, I mean, you made this guy's Angry MGTOW and Chris Cantu's life a living hell, and now here you are like, oh, it's fixed, guys. Everything is good, and I'm going to be teaming up with him. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. But that was just one big problem that he created for TFM, who was just like had his opinions but wasn't involved. But it people dragged him into it. So I remember that they started calling TFM a part of the Rainbow Triad and all this stuff. It got pretty out of hand with the mudslinging.
Yes.
But again, I want to reiterate, TFM had nothing to do with that.
Well, TFM had to do some things with some people. Um, like, shall we say, uh, one of those would be Mr. Bullets himself.
I don't know
Uh,
what happened between him and Bullets, or if anything happened. But I don't know anything about that, so can't really speak on it. But maybe I'll talk to Bullets and ask him what the deal was.
well, I was in HUM. I was in, shall we say, uh, many servers
Mm-hmm.
regarding MGTOW. The biggest reason now, in hindsight, I think, as to why I was in Red Pill Rage was because of the conditioning plus a very strong biological imperative. And if you would match that with a trad cuck sort of indoctrination given by your parents, simple living, high thinking, simplicity and honesty is the best policy, thought for the day, sort of a thing. And in that era, I think, since I was a kid who grew up in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, I came to know that this is all nothing but a farce. But the thing is, parents are very reticent about, shall we say, or this gynocentric society is very reticent about accepting their mistake when it comes to men in general.
Mm.
They still don't. They would die on that very hill.
Nope, Tricom will never admit that they're wrong. That I can relate to you a lot. You're just a little bit older than I am, not
Yes.
by a whole lot. And
Yes.
I can definitely relate. My boomer parents are stuck on TradCon. They will never admit that, they will never admit that things have changed. Maybe there was a time where TradCon actually worked, but society and culture was different. But they don't understand. So they think that nothing in that regard, that nothing changes. And it's like, no, humans change, uh, cultures change. You notice now, I mean, what's black is white and what's white is black compared, and compared to what 30 years ago. I mean, the world has changed so much in my almost 40 years of life. I barely recognize it sometimes. It's
I'm
not
in my
just
mid 30s.
okay. So you're around okay. You're around my age.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I barely recognize it in some ways now. Technology is a lot different. I tell the story that I had. I was in my mid-teens and we had that like dial-up internet, the 28K
Yes.
like modem shit. You never forget that sound. And a lot of young people these days don't even know what that
They
is.
don't
And
even remember what was dot matrix printer.
yeah, I mean, they just they have a cell phone that's more powerful than the computers we had back then. It's here I
Yes.
am sounding like a boomer. Um, but my point, it's just that the world changed in just that short amount of time. Humans, for all of our technology, though, I mean, you can't get past the base instincts, and that's what the red pill teaches. It just helps you understand because you think that your tradcon conditioning makes you think that this happens at a certain way, and red pill teaches you that it's more of here's your instincts, here's why you do certain things. I do want to point out I am watching the chat, so I see that Bandit um, said something about egos and pride and all that stuff, and that's yes, I mean that's getting back to a lot of the intergroup fights is because egos or someone has more subscribers than me, so I'm gonna go after them. It's really goofy. You would think on a logical level that since the world is pretty much teamed up against us that we would try to band together, but we spend so much time fighting each other. And I know that like competition is sort of, and a man with the healthy testosterone levels, I mean, there is that kind of urge to compete, but you got to use that in a healthy way instead of trying to tear everybody down. That's just my opinion of that.
Well, you are quite right in your assessment, sir. And this is what it has to be. That is how it has to be. But could you elucidate further on that issue? Because I would tell you my experience, even right today, when I posted some of the Spetsnaz older videos as well as the documentary made by Spetsnaz in 2020
Mm.
about MGTOW philosophy. He made a documentary alongside Barbarossa and Stardust and others. So he took bits and snippets of some other people's videos alongside their permission, and he actually started, you know, compiling it and made it an excellent documentary about it. And he actually was able to, shall we say, you know, publish it. And since his channel got deleted, I re-uploaded it on my channel as a homage to one of my favorite MGTOW content creators. Someone asked me as to what happened and why did I wrote a thanks to Chris Cantu, Howard Dare, and others. And I was giving him the very same answer which you earlier uh, enunciated as well. Lazarus, of all people, came over in my comment section, told me on my video that if you don't know anything about it, keep your mouth shut since you don't know about what happened. So that is why the mic is all yours, sir. The floor is all yours. Could you expound further on as to why happened? Because Some people have told me that Chris Cantu was a setup, but it really happened after the SPLC and Anti Defamation League ADL, you know, tightened the news around YouTube in general of being anti Semitic and MGTOW as a community being anti Semitic in general. And for that, I think preceding that, there was one incident which people fail to remember, and that was a Maryland University survey, which actually, shall we say, flared up on everyone's face. And within the MGTOW subreddit, some people actually went there and they actually, you know, replied foolishly to that very survey, and they compiled it, and that Maryland University gave that document to Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL. And what transpired after that is history for everyone to know. So from your perspective and from your thinking as to what transpired and what led to the destruction of MGTOW community and being labeled as a quote unquote hate group, as well as being anti-Semitic in general.
Okay, yeah, I know a little bit about that. Now, as far as the Lazarus Messenger Rising thing, I know that he has some beefs with certain people, and that might be why. But I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to even pretend I know a whole lot about that part. But as far as why MGTOW would be, thrown into the terrorist group, well, that kind of gets back to some of the number one, the red pill rage stuff. So there used to be a bunch of in the early days, 2018 ish time frame was when things really started to get kind of heated. And there used to be some crazy motherfuckers on YouTube making MGTOW, air fingers
Yes,
quote, content.
yes.
I'll throw a name out there. I'll name a motherfucker because I don't give a shit. Uh, Portuguese MGTOW.
Oh, yeah.
Who all remembers him?
Yes,
Dude, it was fucking crazy.
yes,
Um, just as an example. So think about that. A bunch of people on the internet, because the internet, YouTube, gives any random Joe a platform. And think about mentally disturbed people making content, and then like not only do they make content, but they go into other people's channels and they make inflammatory comments on their shit, and all you're doing, especially if you go to like a feminist channel or something, and you're like MGTOW and blah blah blah, and then they go and they check your channel out, and you're doing all this crazy shit, making death threats and stuff. Like, what do you think they're going to think? They're just looking for a reason um, to point the finger at you and call you something. It's kind of like, I don't know how it is in India, but in the U.S., like people are. It almost seems like people are looking for a reason to try to sue you, take you to court. Like that became one of those cultural changes I was talking about.
Well,
Um,
in my country, he would be lucky to even reach the court, or for example, the police station.
that's funny, but I mean,
He
if
would be lynched on the streets before that by a bunch of simps and white knights.
right. So, but here they just started. See, I was talking earlier about they see all MGTOW. Now, I don't see it this way, and I never did, but they see MGTOW because you guys are saying, pointing out the unflattering parts of female nature. That's taken as an attack. Think about it. Uh, not hashtag not all, but most women, if you say something unflattering about them, they're gonna take that as a personal attack. It's not even like, even if it's a true generalization about you know how female nature works or something, they can't stand it. They see it as you personally attacking them. It's the same as calling them a name or something. Um, all right, got a message here. Never mind. All right, so I mean, have you ever talked to, like, I talk to TradCon women, right, who are anti-feminist, or so they say, and you can't. It's like you can't even say unflattering things, and they all of a sudden they defend the sisterhood uber alles, even though you're kind of, you're right. They're compelled to try to argue against you. So think about that on an extremely large, like, country level scale. I know India has a larger population than the U.S. does, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but think about it on that kind of scale where most women think that way. And then they're also, like I said, they're lumping MGTOW in with incels. They're saying that MGTOW guys are just mad that they can't get laid, and that's why they're angry, which isn't true. It's a lot of MGTOW guys that I encountered, especially in the early days, they were already married with children. And then they got screwed over by the system. Yeah, it's you got me. I'm on a podium now, man. It's making me a little uncomfortable. No, but yeah, I'm not sure how much more you want me to expand into that. But I mean, it's you guys are the MGTOW in particular, but they're also placing all red pill people, even such as myself. They're saying you're all incels just because you see the darker nature, or darker is probably not the right descriptive word for it, but the unflattering nature that women have sometimes. And so that must mean that you're an incel and you hate women and blah blah blah. It's easy. It's easy, and that's why I say if you're a red pill creator at all, whether you're MGTOW or not, you need to be very careful in how you. Which sucks. I'm all about free speech, but if you don't want to be labeled as some kind of terrorist or whatever, you kind of got to be a little bit careful in how you present your information. And what's funny, actually, on that topic is a lot of guys will show articles of what they're talking about, scientific studies and everything of what they're talking about that proves, kind of supports their what they're saying, and still that doesn't matter. Excuse me. You got any other questions or any other directions you want me to go in, Contriver, or he must be doing something, but okay.
Oh, sure. Oh, shoot. I thought I'm speaking, but I was mute.
Yeah, you were on mute, bro.
Imagine the tragedy. I was talking for 1 whole minute.
Oh
Okay,
shit, yeah.
so yeah, I wanted to ask you about what was the role of the people with names, if you could. I mean, if you want to expunge anything out of it, it is on your discretion, totally, and I'm totally fine with that. Could you expound on the very fact that as to who were the people in general alongside Bob Lewis, Miss Andre Today, Lazarus, groundwork for the metaphysics of MGTOW, and others who actually murdered and backstabbed one of their own, Chris Cantu?
Well, see, the only one I know who didn't do it, and I know who was a major player. But as far as like Lazarus, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he had anything to do with it at all. So I can't really speak on that. I know Marcus was against it, and people are of the belief that Marcus had something to gain by attacking the red pill coin. Whether he did or didn't, I actually don't know because I didn't investigate that part. My part in the story was mostly just investigating Bob Lewis and the things that he had done. And I know that we all know now, like I was just talking about, he was a major player and basically went after Chris Cantu. And that was like his big thing. And of course, he changed the story, like I said, and then he became all buddy-buddy with with Angry and started supporting the red pill coin, which I thought was very ironic. And if you look now at whether the red pill coin exists or not, it's gone. Like you can't find
Yes.
it on uh,
Our own
any
full
trading site.
community is gone.
Yeah, things have definitely changed. A lot of people got angry and divided, and I'd say more into subgroups anymore. And plus, with
Yes.
Monkey Business being taken down, and I have my theories, and I'll actually tell you what that is
Please,
while
please,
I'm here.
please, please
So,
do that.
this is the part I can speak on because I actually know a lot about this. So, when it comes to, if you
Yes.
guys haven't seen my channel, I talk a lot about Messenger Today, Blob Lewis, DDJ, a lot of stuff. So, one of my personal friends had started talking to him online, and they had a legal issue, and they didn't know that they did not know that a paralegal can't, you know, do any of that, can't represent you, can't give you legal advice and stuff like that. And so, um, but they thought, you know, Blob was a legal expert, so they talked to him and eventually moved Blob from uh, Seattle, the greater Seattle area, to their location. And Blob actually lived basically uh, on that person's property for about a year and a half ish, rent free. Didn't pay shit. He didn't go look for a job or anything. Uh, ate their food. This was not a very good tenant, that's for sure. And basically, they had a major falling out. It was all Blob's fault, and he even stole some shit, including a truck from one of my personal friends, which is another reason why I'm so pissed at him. If you remember Apocrypha, if you were in Monkey
Yes.
Business,
Yes.
Apocrypha is the guy.
Apocrypha.
I know
Yes, I
him
know.
in real life, and
Okay.
so you know I got his digits, and we call, and I've met him several times in real life. Uh,
Yes.
good man, good man. I'm going to go on a road trip and go hang out with him in the future, but that's so. He offered Blob and another guy vehicles. He had these vehicles, extra vehicles, hanging around, and the one person was he gave that person a vehicle because that guy was on death's door. He couldn't work. He was disabled and things like that. So he gave that guy a vehicle. But when it came to Blob, he said, "I'll sell this to you for $3K." Of course, Blob agreed to it,
Yes.
and if you remember the plumber,
Plumber.
uh,
Yes.
yes,
There
from
was a janitor as well.
but that was he went by the plumber, and he had I
Okay.
actually designed his logo. It was the Joker with a Mario hat and a wrench. He
Oh,
was from,
okay.
you remember him from Monkey Business Server?
Yes.
He was a mod, and so he was
Yes.
actually there. The three of them were there in California together to get these vehicles. They ended up having to drive them from California to the other location, basically on the other side of the country. So Blob actually told the plumber, like, you know, stay here. We're going to go do the court paperwork so I can get this vehicle. And he did that so that there wouldn't be a witness to the, you know, purchasing an agreement on the vehicle. This is how scheming and conniving this guy is. But eventually, he never paid. Blob Lewis never paid Apocrypha for the vehicle. He pretty much stole it, and I don't know what became of it. There are rumors that he wrecked it or something. But yeah, so there was that, and there were tools in the truck, and he stole those. So once again, I will say, Blob, you are a thief and a piece of shit. Not just for that. He's got a long laundry list of shitbaggy things besides that and the red pill coin. There was the Crowton tea thing. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was
Yes.
all Captain Conservative there was all in cahoots with Crowlton T, to, left wing, like hardcore left wing guy. So but he claimed he had nothing to do with that doxing server. But what the fuck were you doing there? Right? There was that. And then there was the backstabbing of TFM. So the backstabbing of TFM was at that time the Red Man Group, which we can also get
Oh,
into.
yes. I know that.
But
I was there.
maybe your audience doesn't know that. But yeah, I remember
Oh,
you were OG in the server. So after you told me who you were, I was like, oh right, yeah, that guy was around forever.
I actually did a stream with TFM on the day when
Mm-hmm.
Biden won the elections, allegedly, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a stream with him and Halsey.
So you've been around, yeah. So when it came to the backstabbing of TFM, and this might get a little juicy. So Blob did the show with the Red Man Group, and they all seemed to like him.
Yes.
That wasn't entirely the case. It was mostly the Anthony Dream Johnson loser.
Anthony
Also
Johnson was a cuck.
Yeah, I would argue he still is. He's 21 studios or 21 con artist convention that he has going on.
Fucking DDJ.
But they liked him mostly, like I said, mostly Anthony Johnson. I've talked to Rollo Tomasi behind the scenes, not a little bit to Rich Cooper. I don't really talk to him like behind the scenes though, but I do talk to Rollo behind the scenes, and I got kind of the story from their perspective, which I'll get into. But so what happened with TFM was basically Blob is a conniver. So this is just spitballing, but I'm pretty sure that he connected with Anthony Dream Johnson, and he probably was telling Anthony Dream Johnson, like, hey, you're better than these guys. You should get rid of them. And this was him trying to get his own foot in the door with the Red Man Group and 21 Convention and all that shit. So so basically, to put it simply, he thought he outgrew TFM and TFM's audience.
Yes.
So he needed to try to step up. And this was his way of doing it. And so it gets into people's ears, and he's like a worm tongue, from Lord of the Rings. So so he had to find a reason to leave the TFM show, because if I know people who knew him in like real life, Blob, and so he had always destroyed any like friendships. Friendships would only last about 2 years roughly, and he would find a way to blow it up and blame the other person. It was the other people's fault. It ain't me, typical narcissistic personality disorder type of shit. And that's what he basically did with TFM at the end of the day, if you look at it.
Oh, yes.
And he was working out deals. You all remember, if you were there, right as he is stabbing TFM in the back, he puts out this video about the 21 Convention Patriarch Edition or whatever on his fucking channel. That video is still fucking there, probably.
Yes.
And that shows you that he was shooting moves behind the scenes, getting ready to put the knife in TFM's back, and then he had his next place to land. And so he did it. The rest is history, if you guys have followed the story. And additionally, this is another part. I did an interview with y'all remember Roseblades?
Yeah.
That thought from the UK.
Oh, yes.
Right. So what he was doing with her after I was talking to her, Blob was having Roseblades go into TFM's YouTube channel and find material that could be flagged. That's what he wanted her to do. Now, he gave her some bullshit reason for her to do it. I'd have to go re-listen to the interview with her again. It was something about praising Islam or something. I can't recall off the top of my
Oh
head, but it was
yes.
something
Oh
like that.
yes.
And
Yes.
what he ended up doing, in my opinion, allegedly, was gathering that information and flagging TFM's YouTube channel down. This is one of the main reasons he lost his original channel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Channel 1800 Dumb. Once you get to understand Blob, like what goes on in his head, he is NPD. He's very jealous of other people who have capabilities that are way beyond him. He fancies himself as a highly intelligent person, but all he really does is copy other people, and he's very jealous of people who are, let's just be honest, superior to him.
Oh yes.
But that's once you understand who he is as a person. Oh, go ahead, Gray.
Did I just hear a digital Samsung smart lock? Good choice, by the way. I have one too. Sorry.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes, aren't there?
But you can't miss that sound.
Right. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. But yeah,
you were saying about Blob and what he did regarding that rose thought from you.
Right. I highly believe that he is responsible for TFM's original channel that had all those subscribers going down.
Okay.
Right. I don't have like 100% definitive proof, but what I already told you, it adds up. It comes together, and knowing what kind of person he is. So there isn't like a super smoking gun, but you could pretty much assume that this is the case. So, and he's still to this day, like behind the scenes, helping out in the 21 Con Artist convention. But this was before he even had the blowout and stole the truck and everything. There was a lot going on in this guy's life at the time. But yeah, and I actually also believe, on the same note, that he's the one who got the Monkey Business server flagged down. I know it sounds like it would be an easy thing to just blame that guy, but coincidentally, I put up this meme of Blob, right? And not like that very same day did the channel get taken down. And the meme is one of those. I got it on my hard drive. I'd like to put it up, but I'd rather not. Because it's your show.
No. Please,
I'll describe
the
meme.
Please do it.
Let me find it.
Yeah.
Let me find it. I gotta find an appropriate folder. I might change my profile picture to it, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it clearly though. Find the right folder here. I think that's it. Oh yeah. All right, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see this, but give me just a sec, and I will put it up. Settings. Nope, not what I want.
Well, what happened? The guest actually left. Well, he would be back. Trust me. And hey, Mr. Gray, how are you?
I'm good. Better.
Thanks a lot, my friend. We are learning from the mistakes of the past, and that is why I have decided to let Mr. Infamous Rifle come in and give his 2 cents regarding as to what transpired. Oh, Mr. Rifle is here.
So it wanted me to log in. So as soon as I clicked, I'll log in. It kicked me out. So I'll just describe it to you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, it's fine.
It's one of those memes. Have you seen the meme where you got the fat like Wojak, saying like, you think my opinion is worthless because I'm obese, and then you got the Chad guy that says yes. Like I basically took that and I put Blob's face on it, and I posted that into the Monkey Business server. And like I said, sure enough, the same fucking day, Monkey Business went down. So I think that he had been just waiting for a reason to flag the Monkey Business Discord down, and that was his reasoning, if you will. Actually, I'll send that to you on Discord, Contriver, so you can see it. And if you want to put it up, you can put it up. As all gravy. But it's wanting me to log in, and I don't want to interrupt the show any more than I already did. But there it is. I sent it to you on Discord. All right. I guess he's checking it out right now.
I'm still here, just listening in.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll keep flapping my gums like I've been doing a lot of. I haven't talked this much in a long time, actually. It's partially because I haven't done any material, so I'm just kind of winging it, guys. I'm very sorry. But yeah.
So you, I mean, I know Contrivers like for a longer time into the Red Pill.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to. I guess I'm a little bit new, like maybe for 2 years. Longer.
Did you go by a different like screen name or anything like that?
No, I was just consuming content.
Oh, okay, so you just now got into appearing on live streams and stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah, I jumped early on one of Mandy's streams for some reason.
Nice.
Because other guys were hanging out there and so on.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how it starts. Like I was a consumer too, and then I did one appearance on the TFM show. That video stream has long since been taken down, probably lost to history. But I did it on like gun ownership and survivalism and stuff. That was my first appearance, and I thought it went pretty decently. But yeah, that's when I went from being someone who just consumed content to someone who started making it. I originally didn't even want to.
I didn't even realize that that this hanging out online and talking with other people was a thing until I discovered it eventually.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me. But that was years ago. But yeah, it can be. It's really nice. I think as long as we all don't let our egos get in the way, there's small sense of brotherhood by coming here and talking about these things. It's just that the guys. Oh shit, my coffee's coming back up.
I mean, maybe like the if you just watch like these big channels, like entrepreneurs and cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like so big, it makes it feel more distant almost.
Yes,
like
because
a smaller channel, it's more
right. You're on a big channels where there's tons of people chatting, and just it just gets swept under the rug, and people, you can't really chat. That's why I always like Discords. Discords are cool. I'm not really very active on there anymore, but I always enjoyed them. Where was it? Oh yes, egos and money. That is another thing Contriver and I wanted to talk about, because when you got guys that start treating their content creation like a business, even if they believe in the philosophy and things like that, they do start letting their ego get the best of them, right? Because then if someone is more successful than them, they start seeing it as like damaging their own business, if you will.
Yes, I actually have a special bonanza guest for us,
Uh-oh.
none other than Mr. Bullets for Teeth. Let us give him a big round of
Hell yeah.
applause
Welcome,
and welcome
Bullets.
him.
Welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, YOLO. How's it going, man?
YOLO. What's
Infamous
up?
Rifle.
What is up, buddy?
How's it going, man? It's been a while.
It's been forever, dude. Been a
Yeah.
long time. It's been 2 years, I think.
About that,
Roughly.
yeah. I think the last time me and you spoke was 2018, 2019.
Yeah, it's been too
you
long.
You were doing your thing. You're doing your own investigation, and you asked me to come up and discuss some things. I'm not sure if we did a live. I think it was more backstage.
You know, I talked on Discord.
That
I
must
think
have
that's
been it.
what we did. Yeah, if I recall. And I did uncover even more. I think I'm about done with the investigation. It's some creepy shit when it comes to Blob. That's what I've been telling Contriver. Like, I can talk a lot about Blob, but when it comes to like other people, I don't know, because I don't like to speak unless I have some form of proof or reason for believing that, other than now my gut is usually right, but other people from the outside want to see evidence. And so I think that's important. And so I stick with the evidence that something can be implied with. What I can say is how deep I am or got into the Bob Lewis DDJ Misandry Today investigation is, like, I know that his daughter makes content and has said some pretty crazy shit about how that household was. And if you look at how all the other children turned out, there's definitely some implications that there was some creepy shit going on in that house. That's why I got the video called Tales from the Creep House. And it led to some funny moments too, stuff I haven't released yet.
Yeah, I haven't gone through all your content. I went over some of it. You know, for those of you who don't know, Infamous Rifle is the base dude that's credited with exposing DDJ. You know, back in 2017, when I was going hard, you know, against, you know, everybody, you know, that was trying to defame Chris, and everybody, you know, that was orbiting Chris, you know, we weren't getting any cooperation whatsoever from channels like TFM, Misandry Today. You know, they had a mission, you know, to defame and destroy, you know, Chris Cantu's reputation, and it was kind of like their doorway at getting at Angry MGTOW. And I interviewed Marcus with the Metaphysics of MGTOW, and he basically stated that this was a cryptocurrency war, because Marcus and TFM and even Misandry were all heavily invested into crypto, from what he told me. Okay. And that he even had his own IPC, you know, cryptocurrency that he was working on. And the big issue that I found out from him is that, you know, Angry MGTOW launched his earlier than they were getting ready to launch theirs. And basically it was, you know, everybody was on a grifting operation with this cryptocurrency grift. That's all it was. And then, you know, everybody pretty much sided with the big channels, their favorite channels that you know they were subscribed to and fanboys of, you know, and they didn't want to hear any of the evidence that I was trying to uncover. Even when Chris Cantu came out, you know, and did that live stream about his financials, and I still can't believe he did that. You know, I would have told Misandry Today, kiss my ass. I ain't showing you my financials. I'm not putting all my shit out there for the world to see. That's my business. Why don't you put your financials up? You know, since you're so holier than thou, was kind of like my response. You know, but
and
no matter
he's
how,
a bum, so he would never do that. Like, his financials were nothing to speak of, because he was living on my friend's property, you know, being a bum, not paying rent and shit. So
oh, really?
yes, I guess you hadn't gotten to that part, but that's how I know a lot of, like, that helped me figure out a lot about the guy. I told the story earlier, but my friend moved him from the greater Seattle area to their property. This happened.
Is this DDJ you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And this happened, I want to say around the 2018 timeframe. So all this stuff, like him talking about how he's this successful, like highly successful paralegal guy, he's a fucking bum.
Yeah.
And always was a bum. Like, You know how deep I am as I've seen his bankruptcies. Uh, so
Wow.
yeah, everything he talks about himself is bullshit. Like he just wanted people to think he was this badass for his own ego. Like him putting people. He told one story on a TFM show about him putting people in the hospital. I'm going to tell you, he is terrified of confrontation. I
I
know
could
some
kick his
stories.
ass.
Oh,
I
you
could
could.
kick his
Yeah.
ass. I could kick TFM's ass. I ain't afraid of any of them.
I
I am
know
not
some
intimidated by
stories
any of them.
about Blob where he was a coward. Like he
Yeah.
had an opportunity to act like the badass that he tells everybody he is. Like there's a guy, Blob, if you're listening, I know about the story about the gas station where the guy was aggressively panhandling and how you were terrified. Yeah, I know about that one. Yep, I know about reconning the area when you're going to move another person and you were terrified because you were in Skid Row. Yeah, I know about that one too. Just FYI.
You think he's watching? Is he still haunting?
He may or may not. Like he can't really deal with people, even if it's the truth. Like criticism, he can't deal with that. But I actually even know what he's up to now, for the most part, and I'm pretty sure I know where he lives. Even I know it sounds like bad, but I keep tabs on him because he is like a weirdo.
Right.
And I know maybe I sound like a weirdo because I know these things, but
After the HOM collapsed, and everybody was losing their channels, I kind of got fed up and disheartened by it all, and just like, I just went dark after that. I was surprised. I figured maybe somebody eventually would probably pick up the torch. That's why I was kind of surprised, when you showed up, and you asked me, if you could talk to me, and we talked a little bit what was going on. I think I showed you that Marcus interview that I had.
yeah, I
Um,
remember that. Yeah.
I think it's still buried in a hard drive somewhere. I'll have to like dig it up sometime if I can find it. But a lot of that shit, man, I deleted. I just want it to be in the past, so I can move forward in a new direction.
Hmm.
Mandy and others, like Contriver and others have inspired me to do that. And just like picking at scabs, and opening and assaulting old wounds just isn't my thing.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like at the phase right now in my life. I just want to let bygones be bygones so I can move forward, and put out some, good mentoring content and share my mentoring ideas with other like-minded men in the manosphere, so that way we can rebuild, the reputation of what men going their own way is all about. So if I can contribute to that, hey, and also I just want to thank you for your work. Your work is just, it blew me away, when you exposed DDJ for who he was and stuff. I mean,
Well, you are very
kudos to you for
welcome,
that.
sir. You're very, very welcome. I see it as a public service, actually. Yes, I mean he's fucked off for the most part. He doesn't make content. He is still working behind the scenes, helping out the 21 Con Artist convention bullshit. But and he's probably fucking shit up. He claims he's writing a book about the Colorado court system, corruption, some bull is bullshit. But yeah, for the most part, he's fucked off. And I know most people are like, who cares? It's in the past. It's just a public service because you never know if he'll spring back up. I just want everybody to know, like, look, this guy, don't give him your money. Don't trust him. He will fuck you over. That plain and simple.
Right. That's
Uh,
kind of like the thing of when I'm talking to people that come to my channel, that I frown on people that come into MGTOW and set up shop and start hawking T-shirts and books and trying to get subscribers so they can get monetized in super chats. Because in my I think that's bad for the community because those channels are often toxic and they prey on the pain that our men are going through, and it just perpetuates that toxicity. Especially in these smaller cliques. Who I'm trying to give new ideas to. That what they're doing, treating this as an ideology, isn't going to help them in the real world. You know, so we got our work cut out for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I agree with that. That's something I actually did. You remember Dennis? I did a
Yes,
stream with him years ago. I think that might have been 2019
Dennis Silva.
about male mentorship.
Mhm.
That was the specific topic, and that's something that I think I 100% agree with you. It needs to happen because the one part of the story that I didn't tell was about in the TFM server. So I did tell you guys in the beginning that it was mostly guys around my age, maybe even older, who had been through a divorce. They couldn't see their kids, and they were, all sharing their stories, and it was very positive experience. Well, there was a certain point in time where the more toxic people started coming in, and I know they were younger, so they would have been in their
Mhm.
teens and maybe early 20s at the time, and that's some
Mhm.
of those guys may have actually been incels, because at that point in time, that's when the feminists started comparing MGTOW to incels, right? To the true
Yeah.
true forced loneliness, as they called it back then.
Mhm.
And so them guys were like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we're MGTOW. So they started flooding these servers, and their behavior was definitely odd. It was definitely different. I'm not saying that to be derogatory, but like there was definitely a clear lack of social skills and masculine confidence and things like that, and a lack of
Mhm.
direction for what they wanted to do with themselves.
Mhm.
And so that's why monkey business, the culture within monkey business actually changed. I saw that happen firsthand and over time as a mod there. And so those guys, I think they need mentorship that cares about them, and is not just trying to make a buck off of them.
Right. Dennis Silva was one of our model mentors. You know, um, he's worked with a lot of people and stuff. He's very analytical, like Contriver is. I mean, he does deep research. He's an educator, and but back in the HOM, that's what we did when these young men would come into our servers, and hang around our channels. You know, they would come to me, and they were more looking for like a father figure because they weren't getting that in their real life. You know, and so that kind of like gave me the idea of positive mentorship, what MGTOW should be. It should point men in the direction of a positive lifestyle, you know that can guide them down the path that's going to help them avoid the pitfalls of these gyno traps in the gynocentric landscape. you know these young men, I mean, they can't see the potholes, or the signs that say the bridge is out up ahead. So they need that proper guidance, to drive them into the proper careers and stuff. And I understand that a lot of young men that come into MGTOW are angry and pissed off. But that's because the dating market is skewed against them. You know, it's like 80% of all the hot girls and shit are only interested in the top 10% of dudes. They're not interested in some kid just getting out of high school. And a kid just getting out of high school, man, he's full of fucking hormones, man.
Yeah,
He just can't tie a knot in it and deal with it. He's got to let out those frustrations.
right.
And all these thoughts and shit. Well, as soon as they turn 18, they get their OnlyFans or in the porn industry, or they get picked up, by older dudes and shit who are well off, and they have the house and the car and everything that these thoughts, crave, and women are like have guppy mentalities. That's one thing that a lot of men don't understand. That's something I learned in PUA is like, you can always tell, you'll see like one woman chasing a hot guy, and then all the other women will see this one woman chasing the hot guy. Then they all chase the hot guy, you know, and leave all the other male guppies behind. So that's just the mentality that a lot of young men don't understand, that needs to be explained to them, that they're not the problem. They're not the one with the problem. There's nothing wrong with them. Society is the problem. This big tech internet industry with all these dating apps and OnlyFans and porn sites are the problem, because they throw a lot of money at these young women that are coming out of high school. I
Yep.
remember I watched this one Netflix special and said and the dude saying like, man, hundreds of thousands of girls, turn 18 every day and graduate high school and stuff. He says, man, I'll always have hot chicks, to bang and shit, post up on my porn site, you know. So that's a lot to contend with a young man just coming out of high school and trying to get in the workforce and get a foothold. So MGTOW needs to step up, and be the mentor that they didn't have growing up in a single parent
Yeah.
family, or they didn't get from their father because he's such a weak ass cuck,
Yeah.
or
It's
or,
so
or
common to be raised by a single mother or
right.
a weak dad or a stepdad who's also a cuck. Like, it's so
Mhm.
common to see anymore, children coming up that way. And I feel
Mhm.
bad for them because I personally was lucky. My parents are still together. My dad
Mhm.
was not a weak cuck. My dad was also
Mhm.
a U.S. Army soldier.
Yeah.
So I
I come
had
from like the
that
same type of
advantage.
military family as you, so
Yeah, and that's why I joined. It's like my grandfather's military
Mhm.
men, so I come from a long line. So I feel very blessed. Um, it's one of those things, anymore. It's pretty sad because um, you didn't earn your looks in most cases. You didn't earn your intelligence in most cases. You were just blessed with genetics. Like, it's not something you worked at or earned. And same thing can be said about your family. You got lucky. You were blessed. That's one of the few times I'll say you got lucky because I mean that's just the way it worked. And you as a child, if you've had a crappy upbringing, it's not your fault. You had nothing to do with that. That
right.
was other people making bad decisions, and you had to suffer for it. But don't let that. What I'm saying simply is, don't let that determine your self worth. You can rise above shitty upbringings. There's plenty of guys on here. Some of them ended up making content who had crappy upbringings, who are doing good.
That's why we need to reach out, especially to young men. I've seen like, in the past few years, I haven't seen MGTOW grow. All I see it do is fracture more and more and more and more with all these toxic men, creating channels, thinking that they're MGTOW sages and all they're doing is destroying the community. They couldn't give a shit about these younger pleb MGTOW coming in here, and they disenfranchise them, and they get put through struggle sessions, for not following a stupid ideology, and they're not getting the mentorship or father figures, that they were hoping to find. And you got all these spurgs that are running them off. And these, we have a generation of kids, of pleb MGTOW that just left the community, and they're out there thinking, man, that fucking MGTOW shit is a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of assholes and incels, and I didn't get anything from it. All they did was put me through a struggle session and run me off. That gives us a really bad rep, and they're going out there in the social media and they're sharing their experience, what it was like in these red pill and MGTOW communities and shit, and how hostile it was to them, and that's the thing. Where are all the young MGTOW at? Where are all the mentors at? I only see like maybe a handful of them, literally just a handful of them. Meanwhile, you got all these big MGTOW channels raking in the big bucks with T-shirt and book sales and 21 Studios tours, you know, and just larping on that, like they're for all men, which is bullshit. They're just running a grift,
They're
you
for
know.
their ego and their
They,
bottom line is what they're
right,
for.
right. They've done nothing for men. I'll take on any one of them. Bring entrepreneurs and cars up here. Show me that great works, motherfucker. What, you just because you run a YouTube channel, sell some books, get up on stage at 21 Studios and shit, and spill your shit out? You think that exonerates you from the fucking pain and horror that you've caused other men in this fucking community? So yeah, I'm going after, coming out after, a lot of the bigger channels, and I'm calling them out for their hypocrisy, because
But
that's exactly what it is.
to be fair, that was a part of the story I hadn't gotten to yet when it came to Blob and what he does.
Mhm.
He's like a virus. So
Oh yeah.
when everybody thinks about like 21 Studio as a Red Man group, they're thinking about the original group, which was uh, 21 Con Artist,
Donovan Sharp,
Anthony
Rollo
Dream
Tomasi,
Johnson, Rollo,
Anthony
and
Johnson.
entrepreneurs
Oh
and cars.
God, bro,
However,
that's amazing.
I have spoken with Rollo. I have spoken, and I message him right now if I want.
I have
And
spoken with
a
Rollo
little
as well.
bit of entrepreneurs and cars, and they've changed their mindset, and I'll tell you why. Because Blob came in Miss Injury Today. And for the record, when I say Blob, I'm talking about Bob Lewis, Miss Injury Today, DDJ. He came in like he always does. He enters, infiltrates, and then he basically turned those guys against each other. And
Yeah.
and like I said earlier, he basically got into the Anthony Johnson guy's ear and was like, "You're better than them. You should get rid of them." And that's what ended up happening. So he fractured that group. And me and Rollo Tomasi have been talking. I've been talking to him behind the scenes for probably about a year, where we've been talking about all this stuff, and like I've opened his eyes to some things, and you know, there was another fracturing, but the point is they kind of realized what was going on, and
I would tell you what the fracturing happened in Redman Group, because I directly messaged to Rollo Tomasi himself,
Mhm.
and he replied that he was talking about that this fracturing is going to be in MGTOW community. Well, I said that, hello, brother, this fracturing has already happened with the
Oh yeah,
advent of ADL and SPLC declaring it as anti-Semitic and a hate group. So why do you want to, shall we say, sully the name further of the people who are already considered as the quote-unquote Taliban of the manosphere? So in that stage, why don't you actually have someone like me on your platform, or any other MGTOW, like
well,
Howard Dare, or anyone like Chris Cantu or others, so
well,
that
they have. I showed you that one link. One of the
no,
guys
no,
in the group has actually had Chris Cantu an interview after my material. They found my material, right, because Blob had caused all this chaos
no, I'm
and
saying about
problems.
this. I'm saying about this fracturing that happened in the Redman group. So Rolo
Well,
Tomasi said to me, "Well, I do have to write one article or one post about it, and I shall do that with or without your permission. I don't care."
mhm.
And the reason why I am not talking about the Redman group is because they themselves booted me out of the very same group which I created.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Welcome to the club, contriver.
That's that is correct. They booted him out of, like, it was because of Blob, that the group was broken up. They booted him out. Blob caused all kinds of shit behind the scenes. That's what I'm getting at. Like, he enters, he infects, he divides and conquers, and he profits. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do is I want y'all to understand. Like, we all get mad at each other, and it's all because of this dumbass and his bullshit that we all. That's part of the fracturing. It's what he does as
Well,
a
he's not
person.
the only one.
He's not the only one. You're right, 100%. But I can only speak for him and what he's done because I know
Right.
that for a fact. Like the other people, I can, say maybe that's a possibility, but I have proof when it comes to Blob. That's my thing. I have the evidence.
Right. Yeah, I got mine.
But my point was, I've been talking to them guys for a while now, since probably 2019 when they discovered my material. And we've been talking behind the scenes. They've changed their mindset. You remember that if you think about how it was in the past, they were kind of like coming out hard against MGTOW, right? In the past. But lately they've been a lot more friendly because they get it. I don't think it's just them trying to sell themselves to MGTOW, because the damage is already done. MGTOW people only remember their old stuff where they're hating on MGTOW and basically under the same opinion that, oh, you guys are a bunch of incels. But they have changed their mindset. I'm just telling you, it's not just something that they
That's
say
such
publicly.
a dismissive term, though. Incel. Look,
It
I don't
really
believe
is.
that. No,
I
all
agree.
men are not incels. All the men in the MGTOW community are not incels. That's just, I mean, unless you're in a wheelchair and horribly disfigured, you're not an incel. If you're viable in the dating market, if you can like get online and be viable, you're attractive, you know, and you're viable in the dating market, you're not an incel. You know, the problem is not, you know, that's just a way to like, you know, put men down, and that's so derogatory and disheartening to men, and anybody who says that and refers to, you know, especially a young man, you know, as an incel, you know, is just really disingenuous. You might as well just tell the guy to go hang himself, you know, and promote suicide. That's what you should run your channel as. You're just here to promote suicide, you know, and give men a hard time. The problem isn't that men are incels or anything. The problem is that society's fucked up. You know, that's what I realized when I came into MGTOW. I wasn't the one with the problem. Okay, women have overvalued themselves out of the dating and marriage market, men. You know, gentlemen. You know, that's a fact. You know, the numbers are there, the statistics are there, the science is there to prove that. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you. The system's fucked up.
Right. That's what we were getting into. You must have missed the earlier part of the stream. Me and Contriver
did.
were getting into that.
I just got here.
That's like their derogatory thing, the feminists in particular, because you said something unflattering about female nature that is a truth. So then they call you, oh, you're an incel, you're just mad, you hate women. The typical, you know, shit that they talk about. Anyone who's a red pill guy who will bring that up, and even if it's the truth, and it's, you know, it is a generalization, but generally speaking, it is the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's their response to that. Even my own mother, when I
right out of the feminist playbook.
I was telling Contriver before we started the stream, actually, we were shooting the shit, and when I was in my more red pill rage phase, and I would see stuff like, say, on TV or a movie or something, and it was just like blue pill, like hardcore blue pill bullshit, and I would call it out, and my mom actually told me that I was just bitter. And I was like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, I mean, that's one example. My own mother will do that to me, basically. Shaming because you call something out as bullshit, or you point out unflattering stuff about women and their nature. And it's
My mother says that all the time. Who hurt you? Even though she knows who hurt me.
And like I was saying, though, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. It's like the
my
dog.
mother says this, with so much vitriol towards one failed relationship, how you are going to carry my beloved son? Don't do that to yourself, my child. It would ruin you. And I say, it is just a realization, Ma, nothing else.
It's too late for men like us.
Yes.
You know, I've been a celibate monk for over 10 years, and the longer that you go monk like this, like I'm doing,
I love it.
Yeah, the less likely, you know, you need to be involved in a relationship. You know, you don't. I can't remember who said it, but there's a saying like the longer that a man is alone, the more he is more comfortable being alone. You know, and being with himself.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love being alone.
Oh yeah,
I'm not lonely.
I don't feel any need to trade my soul. I don't think a woman can bring anything to the table that would make me want to trade my solitude.
Well, yeah, I think we were getting at that. You have peace. You can focus on other things, right, since you're not worried about finding a mate. That's another thing that me and Contriver were talking about. Like, I'm not a MGTOW myself, but again, I respect it. I understand it. And I don't blame a guy for wanting that peace and quiet and focusing on themselves. There's,
right.
I don't consider, you know, like you were saying about the incel thing, you're 100% on point with that too. It's just a derogatory term. If you take decent care of yourself, you know, you have a chance. I mean, you're not going to be a Chad most likely unless you're genetically a Chad. And those Chads, again, they didn't earn that. They were born, you know,
let me ask you this, Infamous, you know, since you know Rolo, you know, why don't you play this back for him and ask him how come none of these bigger channels are talking about what we're talking about down here. You see, that's the thing. These channels, they came on here. They got a lot of subscribers. They sold a lot of books and T-shirts. Made some money. And they just kept that. And they're just repeating the same old content over and over again. It's like these old sages, these old philosopher MGTOW that are on here, like the Barbarossa guys. And they're saying they're pretty much shilling the same thing they've been shilling for the past 10 fucking years. And their response to like a young MGTOW or a new MGTOW that's coming in the community, they it's kind of like, I think one put it like it's kind of like a lifelong mission, to where you'll never find the answer to. It's like it's some kind of cult you have to join, and it's going to be, you know, a lifelong journey to unlock the mysteries of MGTOW. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. You know, that's not a path to a MGTOW lifestyle. To picking yourself up in the real world and building something. You're a man. You should be out in the real world. You should be building something. So why don't we hear Rollo Tomasi, whatever his name is, talk
Roller
about
tomato.
this stuff and straighten these fucking spurgs out.
Well, I can speak to that to some degree. He talks about everything related to the red pill or gender dynamics, but he says specifically that he does not give prescriptions. Um, if you read one of his the beginning of his book, I think it's in the beginning that he how does he put it? He has a certain way of putting it. Um, he's not trying to make you a better man. He's trying to make you or have you make yourself a better man, if that makes sense. I think I'm paraphrasing and I'm probably butchering it, but that's why he doesn't. He just gives you the information. What you do with it is on you. He's not trying to mentor anyone per se. He's just putting the information out there. And I've watched this stuff for a long time. Anytime there's a new topic of discussion, he covers it. I can't speak for the other guys though. If you're giving prescriptions, I mean, I think the type of people who give prescriptions, I think you made a very valid point there. Just I'll give you a prescription. Give me $500 a month, and I'll teach you the secrets. That's what I have a problem with.
What you call a what he calls a prescription, I call inspiration.
So, okay, so what he's calling a prescription, like, can you definitively tell someone exactly what they need to do with themselves? That's a prescription. Whereas mentoring is not necessarily like do this, do that. I'm back in my boots as a sergeant again, giving people orders. That's what he looks at as a prescription. Whereas and they teach you in the military, there's different forms of leadership, such as authoritarian, or the one I preferred to use, which was to inspire people to do things rather than do this because I have more stripes than you. But that's just me, and I learned that because in my experience I worked under a guy who had the authoritarian style, and I was like, I never want to be like that when I get my stripes. So I mean, that's all I can really say about that. He's not you get in a lot of trouble when you give people prescriptions, if you really think about it, because if you give them a prescription,
his approach is different from mine.
Everyone has a different approach. You're
in the
correct.
conversations that I've been having with the other gentlemen here, around my community, and on Mandy's channel for the past year and a half, understand that where it's coming from. We don't prescribe anything like that. We don't try to tell people what to do. What we do try to do though is make them pick up their balls,
Yeah.
and learn how to help themselves.
That
Because
sounds more like the inspirational style that I was just talking about.
Right. Online, there's only so much that a mentor like myself or Iridium or Bandit can do for somebody else. They have to want to help themselves. And that message needs to be put out there by these bigger channels. If you want to eventually go your own way, you're going to have to eventually get over your pain which is your rage. If you're on here raging and spurging out, you obviously haven't gotten over your pain. You need to find something else offline. You need a goal in life, to pursue, whether it be education, career, or whatever. But that my approach, if Rolo would come down here and talk with the real MGTOW down here on the base level, he might have something else to write about.
Yeah,
No, man.
I will get in his ear and talk to him about that. Actually, now that you say that,
Bring a stream up to his attention. Let him listen to it. It might inspire him, to write. Hey, you know what? Maybe this guy Bullets. Maybe he's got a point. About mentoring. Men in MGTOW Manosphere. And giving them more of a positive outlook on it, other than the Red Pill Rager outlook, which seems to be plaguing this place and fracturing it all over the damn place. That's why the communities have fallen apart, especially after RPC. Oh my God, man.
Well, I will say this.
It's like herding cats.
I know this was bullshit coming out of Blob's mouth, but one thing that drew like some of the guys in the original Red Man group that they liked about Blob before they found out what a piece of shit he was, but he had said something about multi-generational mentorship. And of course, this is just hot air coming out of Blob's mouth, but that's what really was like drew their interest. So they do have an interest in that. I can 100% say that, but I'll talk to him and see if he's interested in covering more MGTOW-ish. He mostly caters to guys who want to, be in the dating market and have a family, such as myself.
Such as him, yeah, married in MGTOW. Yeah, get it.
Right. So everybody has their own niche. Speaking of which, are there any like MGTOW creators that you approve of, that you would promote for kind of doing things the way that you would prefer them to be done? I'm curious because I haven't followed like MGTOW guys in a long time. Like people like Thinking Ape have gone sort of to the black pill, and some other old school guys have kind of like, and plus I'm at the point where I'm at that level where I just don't really even want to consume all that much red pill content, because like you were saying, it is like that horse is pretty fucking dead by now,
Right. Well, the thing that I see is that the MGTOW community is so fractured. These bigger channels, with 100,000+ subscribers, they've left us. Let's be honest here. I mean, they don't really give a shit, about anything other than their book sales and super chats.
They've made some money, and so
right. So what I want to do, I want to focus on mentoring, and focusing in a new direction. And I want to inspire other people, to do the same, and do their own thing in a new direction, and take, this message, and try to recover some kind of the credibility that MGTOW, used to have, because it was a beautiful community before that RPC bullshit, happened. Everybody was together. It was a brotherhood like no other. I've never seen anything like it before. And then a few spurgs, blew it all up, over some cryptocurrency. And we lost a lot of men. A lot of dudes got damaged from that, and never recovered. So I'm working towards something. I'm working on this message, and inspiring others to also spread this message. Like Iridium Kush is starting to warm up on live streams. He's a chemical engineer. He has been all his life. He's educated. He knows the correct career path, for young men to take, that want to go into that field or whatever field. And I want to inspire him and others to do the same. Like, Contriver and Bandit, are perfect mentors too, in their fields, and they can, take this, and do the same thing that I'm doing here, and that's all I'm trying to do is like, we need more Island Hermits in the world. If you're not familiar with Island Hermit, he's a young man who had a really rough life, but he's picked himself up as a MGTOW. He's bought he bought a nice piece of property in Hawaii. He's got all his plans and dreams, and he's showing it, on his phone. You know, he's doing live streams all the time and trying to inspire other men to do what he's doing. And my question is this: how come we don't see that more of that in the MGTOW community? We need more of that. So I'm asking all these other, dudes in the community, whether you're MGTOW or not, step up, and show examples or give advice, for others, to utilize, especially for younger men. I don't see that many young men in the MGTOW community anymore, and that has me greatly concerned. That
Hmm.
that these red pill ragers are keep running these young dudes off, and turning them off of the message, that they really really need in this modern age,
It
especially
is.
with everything skewed against them.
It is very off-putting. That's something me and Contriver were talking about. I have a philosophy about the red pill rage that it should only last a certain period of time, and then you just need it's time to move on. And I know Contriver his lasted a long time by his own admission, and yeah, so I agree with you completely. The red pill rage does a lot to hurt all red pill people because they're the loudest. They're loud. I don't know whether you could actually really consider them the majority or minority. Really, I mean, there are a lot of red pill ragers to be quite honest, but they number one they do a couple of things. Like they put off people who might benefit from learning the
Right.
red pill or joining the red pill by being the face out there that they see. So when they see like new people see them, they're like, oh, this must be what this is about. And then the enemies, the people who hate the red pill, the feminists, the trad cons who want you to continue being a trad con slave, basically. Uh, they that's what they see, and that's why they're going to. It's all you're a bunch of insults, right?
Mhm.
Because of that red pill rage makes it look bad. And you I think it's perfectly normal if you go through a red pill rage phase. I'm not saying that oh you're in red pill rage so you're bad or something like that. No, I went through it. I don't know anybody who has taken the red pill who
Right.
didn't have some period of time where they went through. It's normal to me.
Yes.
But if you've been red pill rage for 2 years, there's something wrong. There's something that needs to be fixed. And I'm not saying that you're bad. I'm just saying
Right.
that there's something that needs to be addressed and fixed in your mindset.
I went through it for 2.5 years, and my buddy Lycan, and others, like my friend Laura, helped me work through that. I was going through a really difficult time during that in my life, you know, and I just needed an outlet for all that rage, and it just, it it was fine for a while, but then it started to get toxic, especially after the HOM, collapsed, and I was still in my red pill rage when I went over to Lycan Theory, but being over there in an open forum and an open community, and being able to communicate my story with other people really helped a lot. You know,
Yeah.
being locked up in an echo chamber. I think this dude, Brandon Trueblood, he's like, well, I'm gonna, live stream 12 hours a day so that way men can have a place, to come, with no women, in the chat whatsoever. Hey, if you need that, fine, go do that. Okay, if that's what you need. But after a while, and you're stuck in there in an echo chamber, it's gonna turn toxic and it's gonna wear on you.
Yes. Because all you think about is negativity. That's my
Mhm.
take on it, and that's why I've been wanting to put out personally videos that are meant to be more mentorship related. I put out a video years ago called "I Don't Need a Leader," but I've been meaning to do one called "I Don't Need a Hero" or something like "Be Your Own Hero." Actually, is would be people have stolen that line from me
Right.
from which
I
I'm
got it on my
happy.
channel right now, man. Go watch my intro video, my channel intro video. It's cool. But I,
Okay,
I see
I'll
what
check
I
that
see
out.
where you're coming from. I've always told people, like, back when I was in the HOM, everybody was looking at me to be their leader and everything. Like, no, 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 no. You don't understand. I'm not here to be your leader. I'm here to teach you how to be your own leader.
That's part of that prescription thing, like because people are looking for you to be a leader,
Mhm.
um, so that you can tell them what to do. That's kind of what I was getting at. So when
Right.
you give them prescriptions, let's say you give them a prescription, you tell them what they should be doing, right? And then they go and try it and they fail. You know who they get mad at? They get mad at you. They don't get mad at themselves for failing. I've seen this play out many, many times, and that's a
Well,
problem. Go ahead.
my response to those who fail is like, you didn't fail enough. You have to fail a certain period of time before you succeed.
Failure is normal. It happens. I've been through it myself. I'm not a perfect person. No one on this panel is a perfect person.
Right. Your failures are rites of passage. You know, you learned what didn't work, or it did. You know, you learned what not to do. You know, because you tried that advice, it didn't work out. Try something different, and you don't have to take my prescription inspirational advice. You know, you can take Bandits, you can take Contriver, you can take Grays. You know, that's what we're here. We're here to share ideas and opportunities. You know, and you can make your own choice, and you're gonna fail. You know, I mean, even I failed when I was trying to get through my Red Pill rage. You know, I would relapse. You know, and I would fail coming out of it continuously. You know, but eventually, I took the Zen pill. You know, because I've been through the red pill, the purple pill, the black pill. You know, and I finally said, fuck it. You know, I'm just like, dude, the bullets abides pill. You know. It is what it is.
Do I get 5 seconds?
Yes.
Sure, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It remembered me of something that I heard once. It's better to try and fail than to fail to try.
That's
exactly.
That's a good quote, man.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
It's not my quote. It's from the entrepreneurship community day.
Oh, I forgot to hit the dang play button. If anybody was talking, I couldn't. I was talking over you. I couldn't tell.
Yes.
Because all I could hear is Infamous, Contriver, and I think Gray.
Bandit actually wants to ask something. Yes, Bandit.
The only thing I was going to ask was, we talked about all the shortcomings of the past, what the backstabbing, the drama, the bullshit, all of it put together. How do we prevent this crap from happening again and learn from our mistakes finally, instead of repeating the same crap over and over again that we seem to always do?
That is a great question. I meant to address it earlier because I saw it in the chat.
Because we can't be repeat. It seems like we're just repeating the same garbage year in, year out. There's another fracture, more bullshit comes, another fracture, something else happens. Like the infighting's got to stop at some point. Like you either rise and overcome it, or you decide that the place is cancer and create another community. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You have to pick one.
Right. I think my answer, I can't give a complete answer, but I think number one, we have to remember you can't save everybody. But I think the mentorship is a thing. I think trying to be positive, like as many people, I always encourage. I don't care if you are a nobody, you don't have an audience or whatever. Make content and focus on positive things, positivity. Spread positivity to other people instead of this negative. That is another thing that puts people off about MGTOW is most of the content that they put out is negativity.
Flame content and the female nature stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a new MGTOW, a new thing of MGTOW that's kind of like rising. People are just like walking away from the flame content and stuff because it just doesn't. I mean, it's fun to watch every now and then for entertainment and stuff, but a lot of guys just get consumed by it. And just use it as a reason, like to rage on each other. I mean that's what I've seen in the past. But I think there's kind of like MGTOW. There's MGTOW that are just wanting a new direction, and showing positive examples and good mentorship. Kind of like Chris Cantu set that example when he came out and he was doing his streams. He would show his lifestyle, whether he was like living in his Jeep or in his trailer or whatnot, here in Austin, Texas, or flying over to Thailand and having the first MGTOW summit in Bangkok, You know, um, he would show him like working out, doing firearms training, and just showing his MGTOW lifestyle as it pertains to him, and I
Alongside
really
MGTOW
admired
Extract.
that. Right. Hermit kind of reminds me of that too, because Hermit's showing his lifestyle, and giving examples of that. We need more positive examples like that.
But I'm just, I mean, I'm not trying to be pressing on this, but all this drama with like Anthony Johnson and Rolo and DDJ, like, it seems like every 2 years, it's like rinse repeat. It's just a new person with more drama. Like, that's the part I'm kind of frustrated with. Like, how do we seriously talk about ending this from keep repeating every 2 years? Because all it's doing is basically fueling our enemies, making feminists, giving more talking points against MGTOW, allowing us to call us incels when we're not. Like, all that kind of drama happens because of all the stupid infighting. Like, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be squashed. And that's why it came up. I wanted to talk about how do we squash this crap, because
Well,
we always end up repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again, and it's basically being such a disservice to us that eventually we're not going to be taken seriously. Doesn't matter what we say if we keep
well,
repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
here's the thing. Society-wise, you're not taken seriously. None of us
Oh.
are taken seriously. They, like we were talking about earlier, you're just a stupid incel. And another problem. I would love to be able to answer your question perfectly, but I can't, because you can't control other people. You're in control of yourself, right? The only thing that you can do is stuff for yourself and try to spread positivity. Because if you involve yourself in the negativity or the drama or whatever, that's not good. That's not good for you. That's not good for anyone else. That just stirs up more shit. And I know that's weird coming from me, but that's the way it is.
I mean, I understand about the whole drama stuff. It's just, to me, it's just every single time we try to go on the offensive, we always end up going back on the defensive again with infighting or something. Like, it should be we just address it and just ignore it. And if they want to cause more drama, just they're not worth it or something. Like, something needs to be changed culturally within the group so we can be on the offensive and not on the defensive all the time. Because nothing's going to happen if we keep focusing on infighting. And
Well,
I mean, we can
is
learn
this,
from
this
it.
is my perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it. My perception, because I just went through this with a gentleman by the name of Angler, who basically, he got red pilled and got a bunch of ideology put in his head, and he feels justified that he can go around, from channel to channel, and put everybody through a struggle session because they're not MGTOW enough, whatever the hell that means. These there's a lot of dudes that are in the community that you're not going to reach. Okay. um not all men can be saved. If they're going to stay, if they want to rage in an echo chamber, there's nothing you can do for them until they get over their pain. Okay, until they can come up here and have a civil conversation with involving critical thinking on a panel like this, and have an exchange of inspirational ideas, to move forward in their life. So don't waste your time with these people. Okay, I've already talked to Iridium, and I just did one of my mentor lectures on my channel, explaining about it. Like, if they come on your channel, if they're causing a problem, you got to show them the door. Sorry, dude, you can't stay here. There's nothing we can do for you. Send them back over where they came from. Okay, because they still got a lot of shit to get through. You all know what red pill rage is and how blind it can make you when somebody, like, try from another channel or another community tries to talk to you. You're just not going to relate to their message because you already accepted the brainwash of wherever you're at. So don't even bother wasting your time with that. I heard about that, Hermit. That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that everybody has their egos. Everybody has
I would
their
I would
things.
tell you,
I just,
Bandit.
It's just,
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it's repeating all the time. It's just frustrating because,
Look,
like,
look, look.
it's making a bad example for everybody else.
The thing is, people should be just like Stardust. He says his own thing, he interviews people, he recommends some people, and that's it. Do your own thing. So, MGTOW by acronym itself suggests that men are more individualistic than as compared to women in general,
Yes.
nature wise as well, and that too, it would be like nature on steroids. The natural ones, of course. And that is
Yeah.
how it has been actually. In hindsight, if I see that, I I would not choose blue pill over anything else. So anything other than blue pill is good because otherwise you would not even realize what has hit you, and it would hit you hard. It would destroy your life. And by the time you would be on your deathbed, coughing blood on a ventilator, there would only be someone who would be able to actually support you, like my mother did. So I know for a I have been to enough bar brawls and fights and coughing up blood, having stomach infection because of alcohol and whatnot. Even though I was a teetotaler before, this was all because of my body got destroyed because of Red Bull rage. Because I was
Oh,
not
yeah.
given, a shoulder to cry on. If I was given a shoulder to cry on, if I had that very, if you, all of you gentlemen, I suppose enough of you people from millennial or Gen X generation would have seen the movie Rambo First Blood.
Great
In the
movie, one of my
last scene,
favorites.
in the last scene when he says nothing is over, and he breaks down in front of his Colonel Troutman, that was the scene that gives him enough catharsis because all of his friends has have died, or he has lost everything. He cannot hold on to a job parking cars and all that. Men need those moments of honesty with other men who would not use or abuse them. Even if someone would actually listen to us and give us an honest opinion, doesn't matter whether you are a PhD or not, doesn't matter that you are a high profile celebrity or not, doesn't matter. Even if you are a homeless person, even if you are nothing, if you would give me an honest advice, honest suggestion after listening to my catharsis, then I would be grateful for you to you for the rest of my life. Now, what happens is men cannot even have that moment of honesty without getting backstabbed. And this, I'm not saying about other men, I'm saying about your own parents, your own biological parents who raised you. This is what happens with I used to love a girl in the first year of my college. She rejected me, and she actually was getting gang banged by a bunch of dudes in some, uh, you know, paying guests. The people who have houses near the college and universities, they used to have girls and boys as paying guests over there. They used to sublet or rent a room to them. So when I came to know about that, I cried my eyes out. When I told my parents that she did this, my parents, my parents, by the way, told me that you were wrong in doing that. You should never propose to a girl because for you, your wife would be your girlfriend or some, I mean, something. Orthodox, typical Orthodox Indian cultural parents. And I was a virgin,
Right.
by the way, till my marriage. Uh, I, I had no option other than I took some sleeping pills. I got on top of a building, was about to jump. Some other bastard actually threw me down on the roof and punched me in the face. And he said, "What the heck you are doing?"
Hmm.
That's
He
a base dude.
died. He died 2 years later because of dengue, and he
Hmm.
used to drink milk every day. He was one of my best friends. He was like a chartered accountant over here, uh, an equivalent of your CPA, certified public accountant,
Hmm.
over there. And he died a virgin, he died a bachelor,
Shit.
he died a person who has just got a degree of chartered accountant, which is equivalent of your CPA. And before even he could start his own office and everything, he died. He was the only child of his parents. And
That's why that's the dude you talk about. You drink a glass of milk
uh,
every now and then in his honor, right?
to pay homage to him,
Yes.
that this life is because of his sacrifice, because he died on my behalf, I actually regard him and drink one glass of milk every single day. So he has changed me a lot. And this was before my marriage. Of course, I reverted back to being a teetotaler because of him. His parents called me one day and they said, "Son, what are you doing?" I said, "Uncle, auntie, things have turned for the worse." "Well, at least you are here with us. Stay with us. Don't ruin your life.
Right.
Otherwise, you would be no more, and being childless, you could ask from us, and we don't like any bit of it." And they started crying because they lost their only son.
Hmm.
And then my parents also started crying on a video call, and that's it. I gave up drinking. I was a binge drinker. I used to down a bottle of rum in one go.
Phew. Boy, that's pretty hardcore,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, I had my phase too after a couple of military deployments, uh, and I quit. I still drink a little bit on a rare, very rare occasion, but I also understand that it does run in my family, so I need to be very careful.
So
Otherwise,
to
I'll get
answer the
problems.
bandit's
Right.
question, I would say bandit. The problem is men are more individualistic. These things are inevitable. These are going to happen. These happen between blood brothers, let alone other people. So forget about it. What we could do is we could try to provide the best we could with all our good faith and best intentions. That's it. We cannot guarantee about each and everything. We could only guarantee about the content we put out
Hmm.
and the sort of honest opinion we give to other people. That's it.
Yeah.
If I could interject, gentlemen, because I have to go
Sure.
here in a few. I have to take my dog to the vet. But with what Bandit's asking and what Hermit's question in the chat, it says, I heard a theory. I don't know if it's true or not that younger Gen Z guys aren't going through the red pill rage is bad because they kind of already know that life. When it comes to Hermit's, question and Bandit's question, you know, the best advice that I can give us as a community as a whole is to set the example for others to emulate and follow, until they can pick themselves up, and carry on and be an example to emulate, for their friends and their fellow MGTOW to follow. It's not going to happen overnight, gentlemen. It takes time. Takes time to heal, you know, and you got to give it time. Just keep doing what you're doing. Hermit, keep doing what you're doing. Bandit, keep doing what you're doing. Whatever it is, setting that positive example, and the more positives that we set over here, the more other people are going to like, hey, this rager stuff is kind of toxic. This stuff these guys are doing over here, setting the example and showing all this cool shit these MGTOW over here are doing, you know, is a little more applicable in my real life than this toxic shit over here. If that makes sense.
That's exactly what I was getting at, Bullets. That's what I was trying to say too. I mean, I think you said it better than I did, but
well, Infamous, I would like to invite you up to my channel sometime. Maybe we can do a Sunday stream. I do my Sunday 8:00 streams. They're only 2 hours, and we can have a back and forth on the topic of mentorship and exchange ideas. That's what
Sure.
that's for, And Gray, nice meeting you. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to chit chat. We just had a lot going on here today.
That's fine.
But definitely come over and join me over on my channel, and we can carry on the conversation there.
Do you want to Can I give a quick compliment? I think you're using the SM7B with the Octa capture, right?
Yeah, I'm using the SM. Actually, I'm using an SM58.
Oh,
it's actually got the same damn near the same frequency response as an SMB.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
With the Roland Octacapture, I don't recommend a Roland Octacapture unless you're like in a band, or going to record, a band or an orchestra, because you could stack them and everything. But if you want a good interface, it's got excellent preamps. The quad's really good.
Okay, then I was wrong. I thought you have the SM7B, and I was wondering, why does the SM7B sound the way it sounds with the Octacapture?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a 58, that explains it, because the 58, I think, is easier on the preamp. Sorry, I digress. That was wrong.
Now, the SM58, it, like I said, it's got, it's a vocal capsule. It's pretty much the same as the one in the SMB. They're both very similar in vocal response and stuff. It's just like, as long as you have a good interface, the Roland Octacapture has a built-in mixer, which helps. It's got a built-in noise gate. It's got all the bells and whistles and stuff. I mean, it's pro audio equipment and stuff. But you can get like the 2 or 4 preamp version, for like half the price of an Octacapture, and still get the same audio quality. Roland has the best preamps out there, in my opinion. But even a cheap Behringer's got some pretty good preamps too, or a Focusrite, yeah. A Focusrite, a Behringer, you can't go wrong if you're on a budget. I wouldn't get a Roland unless you're like doing pro level recording, into a DAW,
Hey guys.
But anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and step off here, and I might be. I think I'm off tomorrow. If you guys want to do another stream or something again, we can carry on the conversation, But I got to get out the door and get this dog to the vet.
All right, Bullets, man. Good to have you. Good to talk to you. And
thanks for coming, sir.
Hit me up on
Infamous
Discord,
Gray,
man.
Could Trevor? Yeah, definitely hit me up on Discord. All right, y'all have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
And guys, I got to go real soon too. So
surely. Let us end the stream.
Well, I was going to offer any last minute questions that I could answer real quick.
Please. If Mr. Gray wants to ask something, please do, Mr. Gray.
No, I was just hanging out, listening to you guys, working on a presentation in the background, and nice to hang out, as always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just, post the link in the chat once more. If anybody wants to come up and ask Mr. Infamous Rifle any question regarding anything, we would be glad to have you. Uh,
Okay, maybe while you do that, maybe I can ask you both, Rifle and Contraver, like, why is like Rifle like special guest somehow? Because of
yes,
the.
yes.
Okay, I'm not aware. Can you bring me up to speed a
Oh,
little bit?
okay. Mr. Infamous Rifle is one of those who knows the secrets as to why the MGTOW community got destroyed earlier. He did some of his independent investigations regarding that, and he found out that some of the people from disgruntled people within the community actually sabotaged it from the inside, as well as the people who actually ADL, Anti Defamation League, as well as SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, alongside Maryland University helping them with the survey, labeled them as a domestic terrorist, Taliban of the Manosphere, as well as labeled them as a hate group and anti Semitic. Now, we all know what that means. They would not never have a chance to voice their opinion regarding anything. But I have given the link, gentlemen, in the chat.
I mean,
I shall give it
I mean
again. Yeah.
the way the way you describe it, it's like almost sounds like standard operating procedure. If you
Oh
have
yes.
something that you don't like, you just get started with the labels.
Yes.
I mean, they even invent new labels sometimes.
Oh yeah. This time they did. They called it a Taliban of the Manosphere. I have given the link in the chat, gentlemen. If anybody wants to join
Do
it,
you know
please
what they
do.
came up with in Germany?
Yes.
They came up with a new definition. They have a lot of
Yes.
definitions already. Maybe it's not like directly pertaining to MGTOW,
Yeah.
but people who are just if you're just critical of the government, they call it constitutional relative delegitimize. Oh, no, you're a state delegitimizer.
Okay. Yeah.
A state
Because the
delegitimizer.
writ
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the state is important, paramount.
And actually, very interesting. The guy who was in the former head of the secret state police that's supposed to protect the German constitution. He gave a
Yes.
speech just last Saturday, like a bombshell speech, and he was like really upset that that's not okay. You cannot just because he said there are already l- that's supposed to be done by the legal system. You cannot just come up with a new category. Oh, this person doesn't talk the way we want them to talk. He's a state legitimizer, and thereby it is warranted to surveil him or her.
Oh, yes.
He was very
Men
upset
are
about
the
that.
problem. That is why you have to decrease the testosterone levels as well. You have to do this, you have to do that.
But fortunately, the people at the event, they were all like clapping. It was like finally someone speaks out. I mean,
Well,
and it
that,
was not just somebody; it was someone with status. So now all the media already is jumping on it. It's like he's a troublemaker. He's a disgrace for this and this political party. And they try to demonize him because he just speaks the truth. Can you believe how crazy that is?
well, the thing is, free speech is the thing is, Americans, I see it from the outside as an Indian citizen holding an Indian passport. What I see is nothing is free in this world. So this whole facade around free speech and people actually codifying free speech in the constitution, well, it is not really free if you are labeled as anti-Semitic and domestic terrorist and called as Taliban of the Manosphere.
And do you know what makes it even worse? Like
Yes,
in Germany, they have this habit of calling people a Nazi or some shit like that. I think it's
yes,
very, very disrespectful because you're using a term that normally is assigned very precisely in a specific way. A Nazi is a
Yes.
Nazi, a terrorist is a terrorist. But you're now just abusing these terms uh, just to your liking, and that changes the truth. And it's like, I mean, the Nazis committed like horrible crimes, and you're just like. And what confused me is especially like if Jewish people like are using that term very liberally. It's like, aren't you like disrespecting your own people by? So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. But I think people are not thinking it through
Well, it is
because
never
labels are
thought
so
through.
easy to use. Yeah.
It is never thought through because people have a terrible temptation to stifle the voices of the people so that they would not be able to say something which might the masses found appealing. Let us just put it that way. In the advent of nobody actually coming up, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, gentlemen, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, especially good Mother Ma. You made this happen. You made two brothers from the very same community earlier who were you are a catalyst for giving me the stream to actually let them rejoin to each other, and thanks to you and your Discord server. And in the advent of that, I would be judicious enough to thank my guest, Mr. Infamous Rifle. Please subscribe to his channel. His channel, actually, let me just put it in the Control C, Control V in the chat. And please subscribe to his channel. And please do actually look up to him because he comes from the very same background which we all do. Even though he might not be a MGTOW, we don't care because he was once a part of a very nascent and very supportive and a positive community where we all come from. And lo and behold, we shall be able to uh, resurrect it from the ashes like Phoenix again. Thanks a lot. And in the advent of that, Mr. Infamous Rifle, if you want to say any last words for the people who are watching, people who are listening, of course, they would be listening and watching you even more with your channel. And what sort of content you are going to provide to your viewers, let us just say in the next stream or in any other stream coming forward in the foreseeable future.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on. It's been great. I haven't done a show in forever, and so I'm a little out of practice, but I've tried to do the best. But I definitely 100% appreciate you having me on here and for promoting me. I definitely appreciate that. So the content that I'm mostly going to be doing is kind of what me and Bullets were talking about, or you as well. Just more mentorship, like philosophy uh, type of stuff. um, I'm going to be wrapping up my investigation of Blob Lewis. I think I may only have one more video to do that relates to him, and then that's pretty much a wrap on that. Um, and that's about it, guys. I mean, not much to say. I am currently on a break. Yeah, I almost forgot that I'm currently on a break from doing like Red Pill like content for the most part. I might appear in streams and stuff like this, but making my own videos right now or committing to anything hardcore is not going to happen for a while. I'm actually in the process of learning a new skill, and that's one of the things that has me distracted. So real life is kind of like taking over, and yeah, and so that's it, man. Again, thank you for having me, and thank you guys for watching. This is a good stream. I like it, so maybe I'll be on here, more often if I can.
And it shall be truly our pleasure, good sir. Mr. Gray, any last words before we end the broadcast?
Yeah, if you at Contriva, specifically you, if you at some point want to make a stream on geopolitics, I would be up for it, and maybe I can also tie in some feminist stuff or something. So
Oh, yeah, surely. Uh, um how about not tomorrow, because tomorrow would be Tuesday, 11th of October. I have to do something auspicious on this very day. Let us just do it. You are in Good Mother's server, right?
no, no,
Oh, damn. Are you not on Discord?
no, no, currently not.
Okay. Okay. So, uh, how would I be able to contact you then? Okay.
Oh,
I,
I can. Do you want an email in the
okay.
professional?
I'm giving you my email. My email is unwanted contriver. It is just that capital U and capital C is there. Otherwise, it is all small letters at the rate protonmail.com. So, Proton Mail, you could remember. Unwanted Contriver is my name. You could remember that as well. It is just that capital U and capital C. While writing me an email, I will check it, and we would, fix a time of our own choice, and we shall have a stream on geopolitical stuff as well. It is just that we would not do it on a Tuesday, but we certainly could do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and we might be doing that after I come from office.
Well, I
So,
mean, I don't want to push that onto you just in case it's like a
oh,
push.
no, no, no! It would be certainly my pleasure, and I wanted to do that, and I got many messages from Good Mother that Gray wants to do that. In case Mr. Infamous Rifle, if you don't know, Gray also served in the German army.
Ah, awesome, man.
No,
Okay.
don't
Always a pleasure
exaggerate.
to
Don't
talk to
exaggerate.
another veteran.
Yes. So we shall do that on Wednesday or Thursday. You could email me anytime. It would be in my mail. I check my mails every morning, and
Mm,
that shall be it. That's it. So please mail me again. My name, in that name only capital U and capital C is there. Otherwise, it is all small letters at the rate protonmail.com. Okay?
awesome.
Yeah, okay. I
Okay.
hope I got that right. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So let us just end the stream. I again thank you, all of the guests, Mr. Bullets, Mr. Iridium Kush, Mr. Hermit, Mr. D-Man 50, Mr. Singletown Bachelor, Mr. Pliskin, JR, Hemis for Speed, Cubing Speed, Mr. Uh, good mother of all the people, Mr. Frankie, Channel 1800 Dam, Mr. Bandit, and all of the people who could join this very stream at such a short notice. And I shall be, uh, you know, grateful towards Good Mother for giving us an opportunity to have to reminisce those bonds which we once had. Thanks a lot, and let us just end the stream. Three, two, one.